What's poppin', yo? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at another series review. And today we are taking a look at the new Amazon Prime 10-episode event, which is Batman Caped Crusader. And this is a new take on Batman. This is Batman throughout his early days before he gets a Robin, but he's pretty advanced in his detective and Batman persona, but still he is an urban legend to the police. So it is again very early on in his Batman career. We do meet young versions of each and every Robin that he does adopt, which is very exciting, so it could lead to them appearing in a possible second season, as well as the Joker being set up at the end, which is also very exciting. However, I wasn't the biggest fan of this season, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but before we do, we need to get into what Google has to say, so without any further delay, Batman the Caped Crusader. It has one season, it came out in 2024, and it does have a rating of 7.4 out of 10 on IMDb. You can watch this on Amazon Prime, which is my personal favorite streaming service, by the way, because you get books, subscription service to like a load of TV shows, free delivery, next day delivery, cheaper items. It is such a good deal for £8 a month. But in a grim Gotham City, efficient philanthropist Bruce Wayne goes beyond his human capabilities and transforms into an enigmatic figure, Batman. His crusade for justice brings him in unexpected alliances, but his actions also lead to perilous consequences. So how this season actually does go is each episode does follow a different villain. One of the villains being Harley Quinn. One of the other villains being Scarecrow. We have Two-Face. We have the Mob. We have Catwoman and a couple of others which I can't remember off the top of my head. We have Clayface as well in there, and another one which I don't really remember. He was like a hitman. He was like a target on his face. I don't actually know who the fuck that is. I promised that I did watch every single episode, and this feels more like an episodic show than a serialized sort of show with canonicity. There is some little features that do cross over into the next episode, like Harley Quinn disappearing from the storyline when she leaves town in episode 4. We also have Barbara Gordon learning about the Batman and sort of befriending him and talking to him throughout the rest of the series after episode 2. And there's just little details and little stuff like that that do continue out throughout this season and throughout this show, which are very interesting and are quite cool. But other than that, like the bad guys and every episode follows a new villain, so there is no like overarching mystery to it all. We have a gender bent version of Penguin, and the first episode does revolve around the Penguin and stopping her from blowing up Gotham, and that's pretty much it. Someone puts a hit on Barbara Gordon, so they have to stop the hitman. Someone has a run-in with the mob, so they have to stop the mob. We have Scarecrow using fear gas, and Batman having to overcome that and overcome his fears and take on the Scarecrow. We have him having to go see Harley Quinn as like a psychiatrist, but then she's a secret fucking maniac who keeps her sort of patients in a prison cell under her office and basically tortures them and conditions them into not being who they are. We have Catwoman, who is basically just the cat burglar that Batman has to stop, and you know, the series goes on and on like that, and Harvey Dent turns into Two-Face at the end, and we have a little teaser of Joker at the end as well, very similar to the Batman movie, which came out a few years back. But I'm going to be honest, the voice acting is fucking brilliant. I love the voice acting. I like the New Yorkian accents with what kind of sounds like I don't know, it sounds like a New York accent, like a heavy New York accent, and that's the kind of feel that I get from this, like the Boston accent mainly. And the art style is very nostalgic, but it also feels so new and so clean. It gives me like a nostalgic feeling for like the old Batman cartoons, like The Brave and the Bold and the original Batman animated series, just way it all looks and the way it's all designed. But it has that sort of new, sort of fluid, clean looking animation to it, so it looks really nice. I just feel like it fell short in the story aspect. I got so bored watching this. I was scrolling on my phone, editing videos, looking through TikTok, and just had it on as background noise because the stories were that simple and that basic that I could just listen in at random parts and still understand what was going on. At one point, I even fucked off into the other room to talk to um like my nana, and I was still listening in partially to what was happening, and I still understood what was happening throughout the episodes. And it is a very, very basic story. It does not take a Batman level detective to work this shit out. It is piss easy. There's barely any mystery to the episodes. It basically reveals the villain within like the first like 15 like 10 no, the episodes are like half an hour long. It reveals the villain within like the first 8 minutes, and it just shows Batman working out who it is fairly quickly. There is very little detective work actually shown. Majority of it is just Batman showing up and talking to people, disappearing before they can finish talking, fighting a load of goons, taking out the villain at the end in a pretty climactic battle, and then we're done and moving on to the next episode and moving on to the next villain. It's like villain after villain after villain, and it's very episodic, where I binge watch this show and I feel like that is its downfall. If you do try and binge watch this show and like watch it back to back to back, it gets boring, it gets repetitive, it gets so stale to watch, and I feel like that's where I went wrong watching this show. If I watched like one per day or like one per week, I feel like that would be a little bit nicer and a little bit more efficient to watch. But in this day and age, and they're all about binge watching and watching a show as soon as it comes out, like all of it, or waiting for the show to fully come out to binge watch all of it. I'm very guilty of that, and I feel like this is where this show does fall flat and doesn't reach its most efficient level of what it could be. I've seen everybody absolutely adore this show online, and I don't know where they get the love for it, because they've redesigned most of the characters. I think Harley Quinn's new design is really cool. I think that the sort of gender bent version of Penguin is a really interesting concept, but Catwoman looks fucking dog shit. Catwoman's costume is fucking awful. I hated that. And then we also get some like lesser known Batman villains, but they're not really that interesting, or they don't make them stand out in the episode. They kind of just feel weaker than the ones which we already know. Like the Harley Quinn episode is really fucking strong compared to like the Hitman episode, because I don't fucking remember his name. That's how bad this episode was, because I remember watching, this was one of the episodes that I watched all the way through, and he felt like a background character. He felt like a side character. He didn't feel like the big bag. He wasn't that threatening. He wasn't that mysterious. He put on a mask. He shot at Batman. He fucked off, and I'm pretty sure he got away at the end. And that was it. We never fucking saw him again. It was a very, very weak episode, and I feel like that's what most of the episodes were. I felt like they were very weak, and I'm not a huge fan of Batman, I'm going to be honest. He isn't one of my favorites from DC. He's top 20, if that. He doesn't make it into the top 10. I don't think he's in the top 15, I'm going to be honest. There is much better DC superheroes than Batman, and I know he's like the main one, but he isn't my favorite. I know he's like the face of DC, but he isn't my favorite. Like, he's all right. I like him, but I prefer other characters over him, and if I did get a choice, I would pick them to get their own show, because all the love for DC seems to be on Batman, because they know that makes bank. They know Batman makes money. They know Batman sells. So they're putting all their money, all their confidence, all their faith in Batman, and just letting the other characters sit on the sidelines and just disappear into like obscurity and disappear into like the abyss and the void of like people's minds where they forget about them. Like the Titans, I love the Titans. I love Harley Quinn. I love Raven. I love Beast Boy. Give me like Blue Beetle. Give me the Flash. Give me a Red Hood series. Give me like a dark, gritty crime sort of not Deadpool, Red Hood series where he goes off and sort of fights the mafia and maybe takes on Falcone. That would be fucking sick. That would be lit. I would watch that. That would be really interesting if done well. But instead, we have another Batman animated show that just tries to appeal to nostalgia and tries to appeal to everything that we once knew and loved about the OG Batman cartoons. And again, they're trying to make bank off more Batman, and I'm not here for it. I'm not going to stand for it. I said I would be like a fanboy for DC, and I would talk about DC and try and spread the word for DC, because DC isn't getting enough love. Batman's getting all the fucking love. Batman gets all the love in the world. So I'm not going to sit here and hype up Batman. Everyone knows Batman. Everyone fucking loves Batman. I'm not going to stand for it. I'm not going to sit here and, like, dick ride Batman. No. This show isn't good. I'm going to be honest. This show isn't the greatest. It's got nice animation and good voice acting, but it can have the worst voice acting and the worst animation ever, but still have a really good story. And it's the story that I need. A good story is what I need. I would rather sacrifice the animation for a better story, because this story was so weak, so boring, and so slow as well. Every episode being half an hour long felt like it dragged. Like, cartoons back in the fucking day, they weren't longer than 15 minutes, right? We had an ad break in the middle, so they were like no longer than 15 minutes. So this was a piss take with them being half an hour, and they just dragged out for no apparent reason. This show's getting a 4 out of 10 for me, because, like, animation and voice acting carried. It fucking carried. The villain choices were pretty cool. I thought it was interesting that we got some lesser known villains, but they wasn't utilized to the best of their ability. So I feel like this show did fall flat, and everyone is hyping it up to be more than it should be. I'm not your mum, I'm not your dad, I'm not your parent, legal guardian, anything like that. So I'm just a stranger on the internet to you, so you don't have to take my advice, but I recommend you save, like, a good 5 hours of watching this show to watch something that could be a lot better. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this YouTube video. I'll see you all next one. I hope you all have an excellent day, and goodbye. Stay home and stay safe.